once I've seen it. Oop. Hopping into the game. If you want to do the introduction, sir.
Yep, alright, well starting in the top right corner of Daybreak, we've got our blue Zerg Complexiti's Rise.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Daybreak. It is StarCraft Ascension's one of many as the Protoss.
And there's some really lame but good puns we could throw at this. I'm gonna try and bite my tongue for now. Now, of course, guys, it's Protoss versus Zerg, so who wants to bet $1 million? We're gonna see the either Forge first fast expand or fast expand followed up by a Forge. I mean, it's just how it is now. There's no other way to play this match. And I think personally that's one of the problems when people look at StarCraft and complain about the way the game's become. Things like this should not be the only way to play. You should have multiple openings. Like when you play Terran versus Zerg, you go mech, you go bio, tons of different things. But Protoss is kind of the standard. You start like this, and there's no other way to do it because there's no option for another way to do it unless you're doing something ridiculous like a proxy gate or like I guess a cannon rush. But either way, those are not really viable options.
Yeah, unfortunately, have to agree. As once again, like basically until about the 5 or 6 minute mark, we'll be able to perfectly predict everything that will happen coming out of here, and that at about 15 supply, we're either going to see the Nexus or the Forge, and coming out of the Zerg too, because the Zerg is so confident in knowing what the Protoss is going to do, they can make very accurate predictions themselves. They need the early spawning pool to deal with any shenanigans that might be coming their way, but then they're able to very quickly take their natural and their third, and probably don't need gas for quite some time.
Yeah, and even no cannons, just having those 2 to 4 Zerglings on the field to deal with pylon blocks. It helps so much because you waste so much time trying to get that pylon down. But again, this is kind of that setup where okay, Protoss going Forge Fast Expand, Zerg's gonna go 3 bases and then just kind of see what happens from there.
Yeah, Daybreak 2 is also kind of a
Some nice
limiting map in
blocking,
certain ways. Yeah, actually, really nice blocking.
but Rise
Yeah,
saying, you
so
know what, I'm going for 3 bases. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm not wasting time with you. And once the Zerglings are on the
definitely.
field, that probe will be less of a threat. Meanwhile, back at home, there's that expansion, there's that Forge, there's that pylon. We'll see some nice SimCity started soon. Rise parking his Overlord. That will, of course, move so he can get the gas timings later on. Don't want to lose that to a cannon early game.
That is always one of the funniest things, is when they just leave the Overlord overhead and all of a sudden it starts moving away when the cannon's at like 35 seconds done.
Yes, that 1 in 100 times you just kind of forget about it. But we've seen players do it in the past. But the best part is, of course, with the Overlord speed, usually they can actually just get away from the cannon as long as they weren't like directly over top of it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, right now the
Rise,
double gas is being taken.
yeah, Rise gets to see all of this, of course. Very magnificent.
Now, one thing that Rise doesn't have is that a lot of the times you'll float an Overlord around the other way. In fact, it looks like he is sending one right now on that kind of incredible journey all the way around the left-hand side so that he can park it over that nice little piece of high ground and keep an eye on these two natural geysers.
Yeah, now here's one thing I'm a little worried about for one of many. He has put a Cybernetics core out on the front lines of this wall. And too many times we've seen players like Rise who can masterfully get roaches out, max out by that 10-minute part, come in, okay, you're going to sentry everything off, I'll just take out the Cybernetics core so you can't build any more useful units.
Pretty much, yeah. Like trying to fend off really any roach aggression without the cybernetics core units is almost impossible. And so having that, it's not even just that that's a little bit forward. That's like quite forward. I feel like that could easily be picked off and not take any cannon shots.
Yeah, from the north, of course, it'd be very close if he started concave around it. But again, yeah, it's a ballsy spot. But of course, you want to have that wall up. Grubby, one of those people who's a fan of putting his Forge and his Cybernetics core in the back of his base behind the mineral lines because he doesn't want to lose them. There is no worse feeling when you're halfway to your +3 upgrades and you have your Forge picked off. I mean, ugh.
Yeah. Dumped all the Chrono Boost energy in there and kablooey. Getting nothing out of it.
Yeah, people asking in chat, I don't know if this is trolling or not, but let's cover this real quick. There are supply depots down on the official maps, or sorry, the non-ladder maps, to prevent things like, if your Zerg, Terran comes in, they build 3 engineering bays, or Protoss comes in, they build 3 pylons, and you can't come down your ramp, you can't get the natural, and you don't have the DPS to kill those things until way later. So the supply depot was put down here entirely out of fairness, so there's a little history lesson for you guys.
Yep, you'll see players sometimes kill that off themselves too, just when they want the real estate back. It's a neutral supply depot, so it doesn't really hurt anything to have it early in the game, and you get to kill it off later when you don't want it.
And, ooh, 4 gateways being thrown down in the back, so that's a total of 5. Warp gate, nearing completion, and some pylons have already been placed out on the map, so we may see one of many go for an early push. I
What I'm
do.
thinking we're going to see with the build timing on this is that he is going to put quite a bit of pressure on his opponent, but I think what he's really looking to try to do is to take a relatively quick third base, just because it's very difficult to commit to killing an opponent off with just gateway units. Even the 8 gate all in tends not to be as good as getting a couple of immortals mixed in, or at least getting blink on top of it.
Yeah, agreed entirely. And one thing I do want to point out cool by Rise, he didn't take the two geysers in his main, but actually took them at the natural. So if one of many pokes around there, he might think, oh gosh, there's 4 gases down. I got to prepare for Mutalisks or very early Infestors. And with the
Yeah, it does
addition of
look like
those, with the Zealots warping, and I mean, these Zerglings, they don't have speed yet. They're slow, they're clunky, and they're not going to scrap well against this small contingency of one of many.
there are 9 Zerglings, oh sorry, 9 Roaches and 16 Zerglings currently on the way though, and so yeah, we can already see one of many taking a look at this and saying like, nope, not right now. He's also getting a pretty hefty amount of tech, actually, deciding to go for both the Twilight Council and Robotics Facility at the same time.
Yeah, and the positioning of these is in the naturals. This Overlord Scout, I think he saw the Twilight. No, he actually didn't see either of those buildings, so he doesn't quite know what's going on. Sentry being set to work, but yeah, this will take a while. Warping in 2 more sentries. There you go. That won't take so long. And hopefully Rise will clean up these pylons. A little supply block from the lost Scouting Overlord, actually.
Rise also getting just a couple of these pylons for free, as they were able to do a little bit of forward warping in, but not all that useful aside from that. Also right now he's getting the very, very standard 9-minute metabolic boost that will let his Zerglings eventually be fast.
Very true, Senex, very true. This is definitely one of the later metabolic boosts I've seen in my time casting StarCraft. But looking here, I mean, this is not a strong wall that One of Money has in the front of his base, and ironically also supply blocked by those pickoffs. He does have a probe down here, so he might be able to do something sneaky while this goes on, but I mean, a lot of Zerglings with speed to kick in, 26 more on the way, a lot of Roaches. This wall is, I don't know, looking a little not so strong. We do have plenty of force fields to back this up, but the question is, will it be enough?
Now, one thing I am starting to get curious about too is that I didn't really quite know what to make of what One of Many was meant to do with that 5-gate push. But right now, just taking a look at what the worker count is, it's only 57 drones against 52 probes. And Rise has a huge army that's currently hanging out on the
Yep.
field. And ultimately, he just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, forcing a lot of those larvae to become drones is definitely it's not a small victory by any means. It definitely screws with your opponent's economy.
Yeah, and in fact, it looks like right now there's going to be a pretty all-in-ish attack, as right now we have Immortals being supported by Blink Stalkers, kind of a mix of Sentry Immortal and Blink Stalker play coming out, and ultimately, the way you tend to deal with this is just by having an outrageous economy as Zerg.
Oh, being caught a little away from the ramp, but some nice force fields going down. A little wasted as it was purely defensive, but oh, these roaches getting blinked upon. Sentry's trying to get some more force fields down, but a lot of Zerglings do make it into the army. He can't lose all these sentries.
I think that
Losing a
was a
couple
little bit.
immediately.
Yeah, that was a little bit over aggressive by
But he will
Rise
push
right
Rise.
there.
He is pushing Rise back. Now the annoying thing is One of Many. This would be the perfect time to expand. You throw down a Nexus while this is going on. Get a forward pylon up like he has done, but he can't because of this creep and the Overlord and the ugh.
I don't know though. It's looking to me like he's going to be deciding to go for just the 100% all-in. Already has his proxy pylon set up right in the south location, and his opponent is building basically
He has-
nothing but roaches. And you need the mix of both roaches and zerglings, otherwise the immortals are just so efficient. And right now, there's even the warp prism coming along with the attack that will
And
just be
no anti-air.
non-stop reinforcements.
And you can warp in behind the back lines. You could even go for the natural or something if you wanted. But this does close the gap on the creep. And those immortal Senex, they just do work on roaches. Especially with +2. Sorry, I thought it was +3 already. I was going to say, wow, that was fast. But he is
But
starting
no,
to push
the
up
+2
here.
is still plenty, plenty for this. And right now, we will need to see some good force fields.
He cuts off about half the
Decent,
army,
not,
but
not
yeah.
great. However, it's looking like with good blink micro, he's going to be able to keep most of his forces intact. Losing one immortal, not a good start.
You have to hold
But
on to these
but
immortals as long as
surely-
possible. And no, losing the rest of the sentries. No more energy for force fields, this last little wall. All he has, but Rise has lost a lot of units in this. He tried to get a little bit of a flank, which was a great choice, but ultimately, he neither player lost anything too big.
Rise is actually starting to look quite comfortable dealing with this engagement. He is going to need to be
Stalkers
very
continue with their
careful.
harass. Without those force fields, those Zerglings will be a huge asset to this army, but it doesn't really matter. The Roaches are just numerous. There's far too many for one of many to just push into. He needs more support. He's warping a lot of Stalkers, but really he needs some sentries. He needs a couple Zealots. He needs something to tank these. Split the army up, anything. Because
Yeah, trying to just like face check this army is not going to work out for him. You can do that when you have lots of immortals, but with only one left, and it almost got sniped right there.
and
It's
no
going to
more
be so
production.
difficult as non-stop Zergling and Roach production is all that we see out of Rise.
With 32 Zerglings in the way, if one of many does not turn around right now, he will lose his entire army. It doesn't matter that he has Blink.
Yeah, and it looks like literally with seconds to spare before all of those Zerglings come out, he does decide to pull back. You're absolutely right, though, about that third base, because right now it's completely gacked up. Even if he goes there right now and kills that Overlord, it's still going to be another 30 seconds or a minute before he can even plant down the Expand, which means that we will right now have a 3-base Zerg 15 minutes into the game, and his opponent is just now trying to take that extra base.
And one of many, again, supply blocked, a little bit annoying. But not a lot you can do about it right now. He's got a huge army encroaching. The Stalker does scout this. So does the Warp Prism. I would like to see one of many buy himself some time. Go for some Zealot Warpins. Anything to keep Rise from just pushing in. As with 190 supply to 124, one of many not looking too good. Especially without sentries. There's one
Yeah.
sentry, Senex. And it doesn't have enough energy for more than like one force field.
This is just looking really bad for one of many, as right now the army is large enough for Rise that he can just go and check, was there any attempt at an Expand, and I think that one of many made basically the only call that he could, saying, I'm not even going to try to take that base. There's no way he'd be able to hold it against a maxed out Zerg.
Yeah, we do see a Warp in coming here for Zealots, but the Overlord has vision of that, and I think one of many's like, ah, crap. Saw that, moves in. So pick up these Zealots, unload them, try and get some more, but there's Zerglings already in position along with Queens, and if he loses this Warp Prism, he loses any chance of distracting his opponent, but Rise, not really caring right now, as he is trying to push up into the main, but pulling off for now. Zealots going down. Oh, one of many. Don't be too indecisive, sir, you gotta be careful. 4 Queens there. And again,
I know
he's
Rise,
warping in Stalkers, Senex, and this is driving me nuts. I want to see some more sentries with this army.
I don't know. I mean, like right now, his army is getting fairly intimidating, though, as just off of 2 bases, he's gonna be, looks like going for just a single maxed out push, even bringing some workers along with it, it looks like, as at 174 supply, this huge Doom Ball is moving out. Unfortunately for Rise, he really needs to vent some supply and trade it out for some Infestors, because if he had Infestors on the field right now, this would be easy to defeat, but with nothing but Roach Hydra, particularly when he's really only even on upgrades at 1-1 against his opponents.
Oh, and the base left exposed. There goes the Cybernetics core that we were talking about earlier. And suddenly, one of many, he can't warp in any more Stalkers, no more Sentries. He's going to have to rely primarily on Zealots, and he doesn't have charge. And that's going to make them pretty ineffective in chasing down these fast units. Stalkers trying to create a force field, I guess, with their body. Not quite the most effective.
Whole army getting caught.
One of many doing some decent kiting, but again, he can't afford to lose these Stalkers because he cannot replace them. No Cybernetics core going down yet to replace the one that was lost, and I don't think he realizes that. It is, of course, very easy to get caught up and distracted, but Rise immediately. There's the Infestors, there's Zerglings, there's Roaches. He doesn't care. He lost everything to get one of the most important, crucial buildings that one of many had.
And is it even... Okay,
No,
yeah, there
it's a
is actually
gateway.
the spare one already rebuilt.
Okay, cool. They say
Right
it's
now,
pretty
one of
devastating.
many going totally all in with this attack. I mean,
4
again,
Immortals. I mean, this is nothing to win set. There's Infestors, there's Spine Crawlers, but 4 Immortals just don't really care.
Gotta be very careful, though, is with all of those Infestors out, all that it takes is a couple of well-landed fungal growths, and the entire Sentry core of this army just goes away. And so, if he can really force this army to
look
stay
at all
on the
those
rampage,
fungal Senex.
all this damage.
Almost every single one of units of one of many got fungled, but a beautiful force field does keep those Zerglings at bay. And there's not a lot of Roaches to shoot over this wall, just the Infestors. So these force fields are going to work right now. Warping and Stalkers into the middle of the Corruptors, or sorry, the Infestors. I don't agree with that choice. But the Immortals have started to clean up. I don't think he's lost any yet. No, 4 Immortals still standing. And Rise in a lot of trouble, but he's remaxing on Zerglings, and without force fields, Zerglings are really hard to deal with.
big mistake from Rise right there, committing with the army at the same time as landing the fungals. Getting tons of free damage with the fungals is always just a great decision, but he lost a huge chunk of his army just running around like idiots on the other side of the force fields. Unfortunately, though, for one of many, it looks
All
like
he has to
the
do is wait out.
economy is just so good for Rise right now that he can keep remaxing.
Yeah, if Rise holds, he wins. One of many, as you said, this is about as all in as you get. He doesn't have a third base. His two bases are going to be gone and done with soon. And if he waits, the Infested are all dead now. This is his time to push, as it's primarily Zerglings, and these Infestors don't have energy to do much.
They are able to plant down one pretty decent fungal growth, but
and these
waiting
sentries...
for those infested Terrans to go is a brilliant decision, as right now, slowly but surely, I think one of many, it's so close, so hard to tell right now.
A lot of these sentries are dying with half energy, if not more, and this is really unfortunate because there's so many opportunities where we've seen more force fields could have been down and prevented a lot of losses. And it feels like a little bit of miscontrol on one of many's part, but it's hard to be this critical when there's this much going on.
What I'm really worried about, though, is checking out the natural and main base for one of many. I mean, he has just
done. This is
no
it. If...
money, like none. This is basically, he needs to win with the army that he has right now, and he's probably going to be able to do some damage, but he could even just like walk in and kill a base, and it probably still wouldn't be enough. The infestors are just so versatile, and they recharge the energy.
Yeah, he's waiting so long. The longer he waits, look, now we have fungal energy. But again, we did not have this about 10 seconds ago. Force field's going down, though. Nice choice. Good to take out these spine crawlers, but I mean, at the cost of sentries, not the best trade. And some fungals do go down with infested Terrans.
Yeah, Zerglings slipping right through as well. In fact, they might even be able to pick off one of these.
Yeah, that flank.
No good micro picking
Two Immortals inside the War Prism go down. Oh, no, and there's the GG.